Support WrestleTalk!
Donate on Patreon.
Hello and welcome to WrestleRamble. This is Luke Owen, I'm Ollie Davis, and today we're reviewing a huge weekend of wrestling, including NXT TakeOver Wargames and Survivor Series 2017. If you want to go straight to any of those reviews, click the timestamps in the video description below, or stay right here, where we are going to get on with everyone's favourite segment, Great Balls of Botch, with a slight alteration, which is where we don't just talk about things we got wrong, because we've come to realise we get a lot of stuff wrong and we don't want to keep pointing out how much stuff we get wrong. So we're going to talk about viewer feedback more instead, just like nice things, just like nice conversational pieces.
Like a very, very slow conversation at a party.
Yeah, well, even slower than that. We'll record something like this, then you'd comment maybe a day later, then 3 days after that we'll address it in Great Balls of Botch. This is going to be some snail mail stuff, like we're all pen pals.
Yeah, it's like the good old days. Did you ever have a pen pal while you were at school?
No, I'm not a nerd, I had real friends.
Chess Club Ollie Davis over here.
Hey, this was, okay, so this is the fourth time we've tried to record this because things keep going wrong. And on a one that's been lost to the digital
It was take one we were doing.
Was I revealed I used to be in the chess club. Yeah, those are my friends. But at least they were there. They weren't in France.
No, ours was I think ours was set up by the school for us to. It was to like encourage communication and learn things about other cultures. And I think I did have a pen pal out in Germany.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How were they?
I honestly don't remember a single thing about them, but I now thinking about it, I wonder where they are now.
Long-lasting friendship. So the first thing we've got to correct ourselves on is we were talking about TNA's version of Wargames. Like, what was that called? Lethal Lockdown.
Yes, yeah, of course it was Lethal Lockdown. And two other points that we were corrected on. I'd said that I think Brock Lesnar main events every pay-per-view, must be something in his contract, forgetting that he didn't main event WrestleMania because he had that match with Goldberg. And
last night.
Nor last night, which I will come to. So glad about. And you mentioned that you couldn't think of the last time the NXT Championship hadn't main evented a takeover, and I said I would think it was probably that one where Bayley and Sasha Banks had their Iron Man match. But actually, it was only a couple of months ago when it was Hideo Itami versus Bobby Roode.
And that was because it was the DIY match that went on last?
Yes.
That's where they broke up.
That's right, yeah.
Because, of course, you had the end graphic, the copyright logo in the bottom. And you thought, this is over. Nothing more to see here. Oh, no, my heart's breaking.
And, of course, you couldn't have done that before the main event because that would have just completely killed that main event.
And just a little bit more feedback. Everyone loved Ollie's social media lounge impersonation.
They really did. There was one person who was very offended by it, but everyone seemed to really, really enjoy your impression of, I believe you tried to do Charlie Caruso.
I just tried to do generic, annoying interviewer. And in my head, a generic, annoying interviewer is a very camp man wanting to hear about what type of food stuff you would be.
Yeah, what type of bread they would be.
Yeah, but maybe that'll become a recurring character in WrestleTalk.
Maybe.
Let's see.
Let's only hope.
Let's get on with NXT. NXT TakeOver Wargames happened on Saturday evening. I watched it the next day with my lady partner, who used to be a big fan of NXT, not the actual wrestling, but now that all of her favourites have gone up, she liked Bobby Roode's entrance, she liked Japanese Man's entrance. Yeah. Sorry, it wasn't Bobby Roode, it was Man with the Cloak. Fabulous. No. That's Carmella. She likes Carmella as too.
Yeah.
But no, her major feedback was there weren't enough fun costumes, and I didn't know any of the entrance songs.
My wife and my sister-in-law also watched a little bit of this show while I was watching it on Sunday morning. I'd got up specifically to watch it before they got up, but unfortunately, they both got up and they both started to watch a little bit of me. Because then you suddenly realise that it's that wrestling bubble thing where my wife sat down next to me and she goes, "So what's this then?" And I was like, "Well, this is a War Games match."
Yeah.
And she was like, "What does that mean?" I was like, "Well, there's a big cage around two rings." She was like, "Why?" And I was like, "It's because it is." And she's like, "So who's in it?" And I was like, "Well, it's the Undisputed Era versus the Authors of Pain and Roderick Strong versus Sanity." And then as soon as you kind of say that out loud to someone who's not a wrestling fan, you suddenly go like, it does sound mad, doesn't it? It just sounds like a load of nonsense.
It's also, I find myself trying to overly justify. It could just be a normal question, and then I have to say the answer and then why it's good. But it is good because of these things.
Yeah.
My favourite outside observation. There was a promo graphic that said Triple H will be doing a Facebook Q&A live thing afterwards, and Triple H's photo was on screen, doing the old Triple H pose. And my lady partner said, I know that one. I was like, oh, who is it? Vince McMahon.
Nice.
He's the one on all the front of your thumbnails.
Yeah.
It's close. Triple H. He looks similar.
Yeah. She was like, she wanted to know whose team, like who was on whose team. So she really liked Adam Cole because he was very handsome.
He's a handsome man.
He's a handsome man. She said he has luscious locks. Although she doesn't like him quite as much as she likes Finn Balor. Like that's her guy.
Oh, okay, because I thought she liked Roman as well. I thought she was a sweaty hair lady.
She does like Roman as well because he's got very pretty eyes.
You ever thought about making your beard a bit sweaty?
No, but it does, and it actually holds quite a lot of water when I get out of the shower. But so she liked Adam Cole and then wanted to know who he was in a team with. So I was like, is he the one in the black pants and the black top? Him. And then I couldn't find where Kyle O'Reilly was. And I was like, hey, he'll be on soon, but he's in black trunks.
Yeah.
And then my wife was like, I cannot see anyone. Because it's just like there's 9 people in the ring. 9 people and you don't know anyone's name. And they just all look the same to an outside eye.
All just vanilla indie midgets.
That's all she could see.
3 massive
and
guys.
The Authors of Pain.
And Killian Dane.
Yeah, I was going to say. And she did comment as well that Killian Dane has an incredibly hairy back. And she likes fat, hairy men.
Oh, wow.
But she was not keen on his hairy back.
So the night kicked off with just brilliant commentary. I was just, from the moment the show started, I was just in awe of Mauro Ranallo. Some of the things he said, a smorgasbord of... He called something like a smorgasbord of special moves or something. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's like, these 2 things don't go together well, like social media and drinking. These are like perfect dad jokes.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
When he hasn't got someone screaming in his ear, he's all right.
Or bullying him, just giving him dead legs under the commentary desk like JBL probably
Stop
used to.
putting over Japanese stars.
Stop caring, man. So the first match, however, was Cassius Ohno versus Lars Sullivan in a match for who is the bigger bastard.
This was a big meaty man match. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It only went about 5 minutes, but these two got the most out of their 5 minutes, and it was awesome. And it was a great match as well in the sense that I didn't come out of that going like, man, Cassius Ohno's a bit of a joke, isn't he? Because he just got completely killed by Lars Sullivan. I came out going like, man, Cassius Ohno's cool. He's awesome. He nearly beat Lars Sullivan. How great is that? And it just completely elevated Lars, and it also elevated Ohno. Loved it.
Yeah, it was perfect. It did exactly what it went out to do. Like you said, both Cassius Ohno, of course, had to sacrifice himself somewhat, but both men are still, like, Lars Sullivan is more over, and Cassius Ohno is probably a little bit more over as well, just because he had such an impressive showing. It wasn't where... It was like, on another day, someone else, the other guy could have won.
Absolutely,
Which is what made the AJ Brock match so good.
I absolutely love his tornado bicycle kick. Ohno's bicycle kick. I think it's such a wicked move.
He's so good at doing a spin and then hitting someone.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
But because, like... How do you know where they are to land your punch? Because for half of that movement, you've got your back to them.
Yeah, he's very good at it.
And the sound he gets, like from chops and forearms, and Ohno's great.
While I was playing 2K18 a little bit later on in the day, my wife and my sister-in-law were sort of like, they were sorting out some dinner stuff for the following day, and happened to see the name Cassius Ohno while I was having a match against him in NXT during my career mode. And my wife commented, that's the worst wrestler's name I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's not good. Chris Hero is a much better name.
A much better name.
But, he built up such a reputation and body of work in his first WWE run. They wanted to carry on with it.
Absolutely. They don't want people getting confused when they're trying to search the WWE network, trying to find all of Chris Hero's old matches.
Yeah.
And only coming across this lad called Cassius Ohno.
So we both predicted this correctly. We both predicted a Lars Sullivan win. Next up was possibly my favourite match of the weekend.
I was going to say the exact same thing, but I didn't want to say it like outright. But I think, it's either this or the AJ Brock match as my match of the weekend. So it's Aleister Black versus the Velveteen Dream, the match that you perfectly described in our prediction video as the match I didn't know I wanted until I got it. This match was awesome.
Yeah.
From bell to bell, awesome. My only complaint I have about this match, and it's nothing to do with those two lads there, because it was an issue the whole night long, the direction during parts of this was very bad.
Are you talking? There's a specific moment where Velveteen Dream's sitting down, and the whole crowd go "Whoa!"
Yeah.
But you're only looking at Velveteen Dream, and then it cuts to another camera shot quite haphazardly, and then Aleister Black is doing Velveteen Dream's sexy tummy pose to him.
Missing things like that, and they missed the finish because like Velveteen Dream standing there. Next thing you know, he's down and he's being pinned. Just missing really like key moments like that, which I found a bit disappointing. But ignoring that, because it's absolutely naught to do with them, they put on a hell of a match. And like, I mean, Aleister Black was already a star, but this made an absolute star out of the Velveteen Dream. That was all the comments I'd been sent on Twitter the following day. Was just like, I didn't realize how good Velveteen Dream was. He's awesome.
I didn't know either, to be honest.
He's great.
Just back to the production, I don't know if they treat their production as developmental too.
I believe so.
Yeah. Maybe it's because you've got 2 rings in there. That was something I thought. That must be a lot different to how you'd usually direct something. However, I still preferred NXT's direction and shot style over Survivor Series the next night. And I really noticed it here, most in the Drew McIntyre match. And then it wasn't until I watched Survivor Series the next day how glaring a difference this is. Obviously the commentary. There's only 3 people rather than 5. And none of this stupid crash zoom stuff with every move.
Yep.
And it lets the match breathe. It feels so like a sporting contest rather than an in-your-face effects fest.
Very few shots of the crowd as well, during the match. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the production was superb. But Black vs. Dream, a match entirely based around, or mostly based around, Dream wanting recognition from Black. He wanted Black to say his name. And they didn't, that is a wonderful story, and they built a match. They told that story through physical action, which is really what wrestling does in its highest art form.
Yeah.
And just so many really, really cool spots that weren't like flips off of the top of a cage or really dangerous headbutts. It was just 2 guys doing each other's taunts.
And also, huge shout out to Velveteen Dream rocking the Jake the Snake Roberts Rick Rude tights, where he spray painted Aleister Black's face onto his tights. Loved that. What a wonderful little touch.
Yeah, just mind games.
Yeah,
not just war games. There was so many cool moments, but the best for me, and I knew it was coming, but I didn't know how they were going to do it. Velveteen Dream puts in this spectacular showing, and but Black wins. And the idea is now that Black is finally going to say Velveteen Dream's name. He's going to give him he's going to recognise him. So even though he lost, he's sort of more over as a result. He got over in defeat, and especially the crowd was so behind Dream. More than Black by the end. So Black just turns to him.
It was cheer the heels night.
I thought though Black was going to cut a 5-minute promo. I was really worried. I thought they won't do that, but they could also do that. But all he did was he sat down next to Dream, looked at him and said, "Enjoy infamy, Velveteen Dream."
Yeah.
And he just dropped the mic and walked out. Didn't look back or anything. It was perfect.
Absolutely perfect. Perhaps I said my only criticism was the direction. Maybe another bit of criticism is that this feud, I wanted this feud to go on longer because I've enjoyed it so much, and I enjoyed that match so much that I'd love to have seen a series of matches with them. But man, what a great match! Loved it.
I don't know. I think that was had a real nice resolution.
Oh no, I'm not saying that. The enemy is from a completely selfish point of view. Right, I'd have just loved to have seen more of this. These 2 having matches and telling great stories.
They gave you what you needed, not what you wanted. Yeah. which is better. Next up, we had the women's 4-way: Kairi Sane versus Peyton Royce, who was the most over, Ember Moon and Nikki Cross for the vacant NXT Women's Championship. Vacant was vacating the belt, unfortunately, due to injury. I had Kairi Sane down. You had Nikki Cross.
Yep.
We were both wrong, because Ember Moon won.
Do you know what is funny as well? So, as soon as they all made their entrances, and I think Ember Moon came out last, And then they went, from Dallas, Texas. And I went, oh, bugger, she's winning, isn't she?
Usually it's no. Oh, okay, she's definitely losing.
No, I
if
know.
it was the main roster,
I thought, oh no, bugger, she's gonna win this because that'll be a really nice moment. And because Asuka was at ringside, I was like, oh, and then Asuka's gonna present her with the belt. Damn, I should have seen this coming.
So this was a fun match.
Yeah.
But for me, it was the least good. I don't want to say bad, because it wasn't bad, but it was the least good on the show. For me, it felt like, although some of the spots were really quite inventive, it did just feel like people going to the spots, and then there was like bits in between that didn't really matter. Like rather than like the previous match, which was so good, was telling a story all the way through. This was more like, okay, now we need to all awkward. There were so many double moves. Like Ember Moon would hit the total eclipse of the heart, or whatever it's called, on 2 people. Someone else would hit a move on 2 people, and it just that always takes me out of it sometimes.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that, especially considering that according to rumour and innuendo, and especially the way they do NXT matches, women's matches down in NXT, is that they rehearse them to an absolute T, and that's really what it felt like. It felt like a rehearsal. Like it felt like the performance of a very, very rehearsed match that didn't quite play out as smoothly as some of their previous rehearsals might have done.
Yeah, plus with 4 people in there, it's always
going to be. But I will say, I absolutely loved the finish with Ember Moon hitting the total eclipse of the heart onto Peyton and Nikki Cross. I thought that was a wonderful finish.
After Nikki Cross had been hit by loads of other moves as well, so that
really
sort of protects her. I mean, I wasn't blown away by the match, like I said, but I was like, oh, cool, Ember Moon's won. I kind of, I was sort of rooting for Kairi Sane. I think Nikki Cross would have been better as a sort of heel-ish champion that the babyface can chase, like you said. But then listening to Wrestling Observer Radio, Brian Alvarez said, why do this here? Because now it feels like Ember Moon couldn't beat Asuka. She tried all those times, she couldn't beat her. But now she can win this 4-way. So she's like, whoever's winning, apart from Kairi Sane, because this is her first opportunity here, is going to feel like an unworthy champion. So you should give that to the character most suited to be an unworthy champion, which is Peyton Royce. And if it's a 4-way, you don't have to win. I get why they did it in the hometown. But the moment with Asuka afterwards was nice. But I do kind of feel now like Ember Moon's title win should have been pushed back even further.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said this on the prediction show, that it's, if she'd have failed here, it would have been the 3rd time failing to get the NXT Women's Championship. So if they weren't going to put the belt on her at this point, I wouldn't have put her in the match. So at least she wasn't a 3-time loser. At least she actually won a match this time.
But she could have been screwed with the dynamics of this.
Yeah, and absolutely, I can get behind that. Of the 4, she was the one I least wanted to win.
Yeah. We both got that wrong.
Which is a shame as well, because I really like Ember Moon.
We both got that match wrong. Next up was, I'm going to say, my second favourite match of the night. Drew McIntyre versus Andrade Cien Almas. Absolutely cracking match. Andrade was on fire. He's got such a good act going with Zelina Vega.
Yep.
Who's like, that's what a manager should be. Like, she's got the manager roll down perfectly. And when she hits a move, that Hurricanrana of someone kneeling on the ground looks amazing. Because I think Drew McIntyre on his knees was the same height as Zelina Vega when she had to hit that.
Such an interesting visual. It was really awesome.
She probably had to jump as well. She couldn't just do that. And he went straight down onto the mat, and that was a great kick-out moment. Andrade's moonsault off the top rope to the outside on Drew was stunning. The only bad thing, and it's crazy that happened in the last move of the match, was we both had McIntyre to win, but Almas won. Yeah.
I actually think that if you were putting the belt on Andrade, I personally would have had the finish following the hammerlock DDT, following the interference from Zelina, because I thought that was the moment that the crowd was super into. Like, there was a genuine, everyone stood up thinking oh my god, we are going to see a title change here, and they weren't in the same mode when they actually did the finish. So the finish didn't come off as hot as I think it would have done had they done it off the original hammerlock spot. Hammerlock DDT spot. Having said that, I thought the match was awesome. I thought that Drew McIntyre's Claymore kick, where, Andrade did about 20,000 flips before he landed, I thought was just marvellous. Thought it told a really good story. Drew's awesome, but yeah, maybe we should talk about the true sadness of this match.
Yeah, so in the last bit, so that Drew runs to Almas and he misses a big boot and he sort of gets hung up on the top rope. And oh God, it looks horrible. It looks like he completely tears a bollock off. And he's holding his groin for a long time afterwards. And I thought, ouch, something's gone wrong there. But then, apparently, maybe that did happen, but it was fine. The problem came when the very next move, Almas hits his finisher, which is like a DDT.
It's the Hammerlock DDT, yeah. But he didn't have like his arms tied up or anything. He just hit the DDT off the top. But Drew was holding onto the rope to balance himself.
Because Drew's legs were on the top rope, like a sort of Randy Orton DDT.
Yeah.
So when Almas came down, I think Drew just held onto the rope. He should have let it go a little bit sooner, and it just yanked it. It looks like, and it possibly torn a bicep, which will put him out for 3 to 6 months is usually.
Yeah, 6 months usually, especially if you've got to go in for surgery. So that's a real bummer for Drew because there's a lot of people speculated when he lost before people had learned about the injury that he was just getting called up, because that's usually what happens when champions lose their championships. It's like the next stage is to get called up.
Oh, I think Drew is a better... he could have been a really good, just long-time babyface, badass, brand ambassador champion.
That's what I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, but I do also... I also see the value in him as a chaser, as a babyface chaser, and taking out people with blood feuds. But yeah, this was always the plan, it seems, for Almas to beat McIntyre, injury or not, which is insane.
Sorry, and that was the other thing that a lot of people speculated, that because of the injury, that Drew sort of called it on the fly to say, I'll give Andrade the belt, I'll just get pinned. But yeah, apparently so. It was always the plan, that's what is being reported, which is so weird when you consider they were doing all this build towards Adam Cole and Drew McIntyre, which they'd set up at the previous TakeOver, to then maybe not do that.
Well, that is one of NXT's strengths at the same time, that they can set up so many storylines. There's loads of directions they could take. We were quite certain, it's going to be a Drew McIntyre win.
Yeah, I didn't buy for a second it was going to be Andrade.
Yeah, but Andrade won the belt, and he looked so happy afterwards.
Yeah.
It was sad though, seeing Drew very injured and very unhappy, but Almas celebrated like a champ. He came off like a big time star. I'm looking forward to the reign of Almas.
As am I, but my question to you, Oliver Davis, with Andrade now as this heel champion, and if Drew is on the shelf, who do you put into the Drew position?
Yeah, it is a difficult one. Your top singles guys are Roddy and Eric Young, and Black. Aleister Black could be the next one, but I think you'd want him to win the title in his first go. Velveteen Dream, I don't know. Yeah, it's a tough one, but it's not like they haven't got people. Yeah, Adam Cole.
But again, like Adam Cole for me is like Adam Cole versus Andrade. It's like it's a heel versus heel dynamic. Like Roddy is almost the perfect person to go against Andrade, especially because they kind of had a bit of a series going on TV. I was with Johnny Gargano. But I think they have had a match on NXT TV. I might be mistaken on that one. But I could see them going with that. But at the same time, I don't feel like the Adam Cole, Roderick Strong storyline's finished yet, and I don't really want to remove them from that just to put a babyface into the title contendership.
Shawn Michaels. It's going to be Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, why not?
Speaking of Roddy and Cole, Wargames. If you want to find the entire rules, go and look on the feed, because it's got the big... we've got a T-shirt down. They did it just like the old Wargames. We're going to take a minute or two to just run everyone through the rules here.
Yeah.
It's a ridiculous concept.
And as quite a few people have pointed out, and I thought to myself as well while watching this was very much Wargames. This was WWE Wargames. This was not the Wargames of old. This was the WWE version of Wargames. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. You didn't want to put the roof on because you want to be able to do the spots off the top. You want to be able to do the dives off the top and all that sort of goings. Also, you don't want it to look too much like a Hell in a Cell, I guess, or make it look like it's bigger and badder than the Hell in a Cell. And I actually like the fact that they put the pinfall rule into effect in this, especially because there's 3 teams. I thought it added a bit of a nice like near fall dynamic to it, as opposed to just sticking strictly to the submission or knockout rule.
I quite like I mean, it does take away from the contained atmosphere having the roof on top of the cage, but I liked the way they got round it in saying if you escape from the cage, you forfeit the match for your team. And that just added another sort of layer of storytelling tension, because when Adam Cole was up there and Roddy was coming after him, it was like, oh, is he actually going to sacrifice himself? And obviously he wasn't, but it was a nice thing to have to play with as a storytelling thing. And of course there was rather than people just coming out from the back, they were in like shark cages.
Yes.
Were they just laying around from other shark cage matches that they were going to do?
I guess so.
What did you think of that? They looked a bit silly up there.
I thought, do you know what, the other thing I didn't particularly like, the fact that, like, and I found this very confusing when they were reading out the rules. It was only until the match came into effect that I fully understood how the match worked. But I didn't like that the entire team came out.
I thought it was going to be a 1-by-1.
I thought it works better when it's a 1-by-1 system, because like that's how you kind of build the story of just like one person has the advantage. Oh no, now they're at a 2-on-1 disadvantage. Now someone's come in to even up the score. Oh no, now someone's come in to make it a 3-on-2 thing. And I always really liked that about sort of Wargames matches. But having said all that, having compared it to Wargames of old, I found this match to be thoroughly entertaining, and it was chaotic madness at its best.
It was crazy. I thought it was a bit slow going, and it was a long match, so they had to pace it out like this.
My wife got very bored, and she came in, I'd say, with about 10 minutes to go, and she thought it was going on too long.
Oh wow! But it wasn't until the Authors of Pain came in, so that was the second group to come in.
Bit of a watch on that as well, because they'd highlighted Sanity.
Because they what? Sorry. Oh yeah. The lights were still going around, and that looked like that. Then the match seemed to step up a gear with the 2 big guys in there. But it wasn't until Sanity came down and just started chucking weapons into the ring where you're like, oh, it's going to be one of those, is it? And then Killian Dane couldn't get obviously, because they had table spots planned, obviously they were going to bring tables in, but Killian Dane didn't get the tables at the start. He stood on the steps, and it wasn't until the crowd started chanting, "We want tables," obviously as they would, then he went out and got the tables. Chaos reigns. It was a really well-crafted moment.
Although I will say, with the table thing, crowd were super hot for tables all night. It was probably the most over thing on the entire show. And then they kind of set up the tables, and then there were more chants of "We want tables, we want tables." Then they did table swap, didn't react to it.
Yeah, I mean, it was the production was the most problematic here, because they missed so many bits.
Yeah, but that's for the live crowd.
Yeah. I don't know if maybe it would have looked... Maybe your mind wouldn't have picked up on that if you saw the whole thing in those moments. Because I remember that one being bad. The Super Collider spot, they only had one guy. And it's like they didn't have a hard cam set up to show both rings, it felt like sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is, because there was also a spot where Killian Dane was doing the fall-away slam Samoan drop thing. Yeah. And they were just focused on Killian Dane just staring across the ring. And then after he'd done it, he got up and looked, and the Author of Pain was stood there. And apparently he'd done the exact same spot, and they were mirroring each other. But we, the home audience, didn't see that, because we only saw what Killian Dane was doing.
And the poor sole cameraman in the middle, I don't know how he wasn't squashed. Like, I kept on trying to spot him in other shots. He did so well to stay out everyone else's shots.
He was probably the MVP of the match.
Yeah.
Also, got to give a shout out to poor old Alexander Wolf, where he did the German suplex through the table and busted his head open big time.
Yeah, there's a lot of blood. There was red on him. There was red on Eric Young. I think Adam Cole got red as well. But the most red was the referee. What the hell was he thinking? I would be so annoyed if he... I'm being genuine here. I would be furious if he turned up to a wrestling show I was running. I've never done that, but I imagine I would be. If he turned up that orange. He looked ridiculous, and he actually took me out of a lot of the matches.
Really? I didn't spot him.
Oh my God.
He didn't spot him.
You didn't spot him?
No.
He was bright orange. He looked like an Oompa Loompa.
I didn't see him at all.
Oh,
I very rarely notice referees in wrestling matches.
Oh my God. It was like someone has ribbed him. Like, he likes a bit of fake tan. Let's put some extra strength stuff on him. And because it's fake, it's definitely fake tan.
Yeah.
It's just gone completely orange. Absolute moron. I thought that was ridiculous. So yeah, the high spots in this match were pretty cool.
Yep, big super duper, ooper duper superplex with Roddy and Adam Cole off the top of the Wargames cell onto everyone. Thank God they were all there to catch him, which I thought they'd actually filmed quite spectacularly, really, because I didn't see everyone getting up and getting into position to catch them, which I thought was a really nice touch.
There was my two favourite spots though were of course the Killian Dane coast to coast when he gets up there. So it was Kyle O'Reilly who had the trash can with him. Adam Cole is still trying to get away from everyone in the top corner. Killian Dane gets up to the top rope. He just looks to Adam Cole and he goes, "I'm going to kill him now," or something to that effect, and then jumps across. But my other favourite spot, as soon as I think it was Sanity came in, Kyle O'Reilly goes straight for one of them with a chair. They move out the way. Kyle O'Reilly hits the top rope with the chair, and it hits him back in the head.
My sister-in-law bellowed with laughter. She
really?
thought it was the funniest thing she'd ever seen.
I thought it was really inventive.
Yeah.
I really liked that.
I thought it was great. It's the old Kurt Angle spot. Kurt Angle used to do it all the time as well. I really liked it when Kurt did it. He was a master of the timing on that. But she thought it was the funniest thing she'd ever seen.
Nice. Well, got to get your kicks.
I thought Killian Dane was awesome in this match. He was like, I joked about the cameraman being the MVP, but I think Killian Dane might have been my MVP of the match.
I agree, yeah. And it's weird how the Authors of Pain, they're good as a unit, but as sole performers, they're just pretty good. But together, they're really good, amazing. But split, like they were in the camera shots a lot of the time, they're not as intimidating. But Killian Dane is always intimidating if he's in a shot.
Yeah.
And of course, Adam Cole won with, oh my God, what was the actual finish?
I'm going to guess some sort of kick to the head.
Yeah.
Maybe a knee or something. Oh, no, it was Eric Young had a chair. And he I think he kneaded the chair like a Shining Wizard into the chair, which is really weird that Eric Young was then holding the chair, because I thought he was going to hit him, which is what I predicted Sanity. I had initially put down Undisputed Era, then talked myself out of it, which is annoying on my part. But yeah, I thought it was a very decent match. I really enjoyed it.
Before we get on to the Survivor Series review, we have some Patreon shout-outs for those of you who have pledged $10 or more a month to our WrestleTalk Patreon page. If you want to donate and get your own shout-out on WrestleRamble, or even the WrestleTalk news, which is a bit more, or, like all the other good things, day early WrestleRamble on Fridays. You get exclusive access to the Patreon-only podcast where we review old pay-per-views chosen by you.
Going to be doing Survivor Series 1998.
Yes.
And, we're going to record that this week, in fact.
Yeah. Anything else? I'm sure there's loads. And our gratitude. That's the most important thing.
Personalised videos.
Yeah, personalised videos. That's the top tier. But thank you very much, the chairman of the board, Jer Personen.
Daniel Bram lets the dogs out.
Jonathan the Headmaster Headman.
Brandon Pow Pow Powell.
Alexander the Barrister Barrington.
Seaborn by the waters.
Jason the Exalted One Jones.
Quiet Riot Wyatt family.
Mr. No Nickname Needed Blaine McCool. That's just such a cool name already.
Machine Gun Dustin Zabecki.
King of Trios Sebastian Hernandez III.
Wrestling at the Chase Harmon.
The most decorated E-Fed champion of all time, Casper Centaures.
The Unbreakable Joe Cage.
Gabriel the Mark Jones.
Jamie Ring the Bell.
Hole-in-one Martin Putt.
Razor Ramon Valadez. Valadez.
The Reminiscence. That's it. The Reminiscence. Marty the Moth Leal and Gilbert. They're a tag team.
Killer Adrian Kashar.
Wall-to-wall action Dan Wallace.
The Automan Garrett Lowe.
The Fallen Angel Christopher Dean.
The Ram Ramius.
And Brawling Brian Kreiser. Survivor Series 2017 now kicked off on the pre-show, the pre-kickoff show, which is all the way down here, with Elias beating Matt Hardy.
I haven't seen the pre-show.
You didn't watch the pre-show?
No,
that's where all the best matches were.
Were they really?
No.
I did see that on the one night of the year when Raw and SmackDown go head-to-head in direct competition, that they had a lot of Raw v Raw and SmackDown v SmackDown matches.
Yeah, and it's like, what's the point? What was the point of having a 2-hour... Just have no matches, or just have one match with Kalisto and Enzo. It really was a bit of a waste, because at least it would have been something fresh if you had a Raw versus SmackDown thing going on the pre-show.
Elias versus Ty.
Yeah, That would have been good. Or Breezango versus Galanderson.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many things you could have done.
It's the one night of the year when Raw and SmackDown go head-to-head in direct competition.
Don't get to do it any time other than that. So Elias beat Matt Hardy in... It was nothing. It was nothing. Michael Cole started the night here, and he said both locker rooms are really amped up because they know what's on the line. And I was like, I don't know what's on the line. Mate.
I did think that because they did it during the night as well when they did like the scoreboard for Raw and SmackDown, and I suddenly thought, I was like, what are we counting this towards?
Yeah. Like you should have I was thinking like what could actually be on the line if you've got a champion in your match. It makes you the number one contender. I
actually liked Brian Alvarez's idea, which is they get the second half of the Royal Rumble entrance.
That also works for the men's at least.
Yeah.
And so Elias worked over Matt's left shoulder, which I think was a reference to because it's Jeff's shoulder that's injured. So that was kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, completely throwaway. Enzo Amore versus Kalisto was...
I did see the botched entrance.
This was at least consequential because it was for a title, but nothing happened. But yeah, the botch. Tell us about the botch, Luke.
Well, Kalisto went to do his little springboard thing, didn't quite get the direction,
the
really.
Velocity.
He got the altitude, but he was not going far enough, so he kind of like then just sort of bounced on the rope a little bit. And I mean, he recovered very well.
He stayed with just like half dangled over the top rope for it seemed like an eternity. I bet for him it was forever. And then he just slowly lopped over and was in the ring. But he recovered well.
Poor lad. I mean, he does that like thing, 5 times a week. And it just so happens that the one time on pay-per-view is when he got it wrong.
Just so happens to be the one night a year.
Yeah, that's when all eyes are on Survivor Series because it is the one night of the year.
It did remind me of the physical version of when Kalisto botched a promo. Yeah, it was quite the famous one from the brand split last year. And
it's in the Botchamania intro.
Yeah, and he's like the lucha things and walks off. It was a similar like mental fart. So this actual match. So you didn't see this one. Enzo, I do like Enzo. He's not not nothing blow away in the ring, but the way he uses the ring as a construct to win his matches, I enjoy personally. This sort of spilled out onto the apron, and it was Enzo giving him it's not eat defeat. Giordano's on the apron, and then he pulled Kalisto's arm through the turnbuckle and sort of used that as the difference maker, and then he won. I liked. It wasn't a good match, but I do appreciate Enzo, unlike everyone else. And then we had Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn coming out to cut a promo, and it was effectively they should be leading Team SmackDown, but instead we're doing this. It was a good promo, especially Kevin Owens. Did you hear about this line? He said, "This is the building where I won my first ever... won the Universal Championship here, won something else here," and then everyone was cheering for him. Like, way, we enjoyed those moments. And he just turns on the crowd and says, "Those are my moments. Don't you dare cheer them."
Lovely stuff.
It was really good.
Great.
What a heel. But then Breezango came out, and they tried to issue them some fashion tickets for having bad beards.
Oh.
Sammy didn't have a cap on, but they did call him a paper boy. It wasn't funny. And then the actual match was fine, but it didn't mean anything.
Yeah, it's just filler. It's just getting guys on the card because we've got 2 hours to fill.
So that was the pre-show.
Did the 2 hours at least go by quickly? Did we get a social media lounge segment?
Yeah. I skipped through a lot of because it was a long night.
Skipped it? That's disgraceful.
I watched the matches, and then I'd occasionally see a clip of bits here and there. But I didn't think. I mean, I'm gonna obviously go back and rewatch the social media lounge. It's my favourite part of anything WWE do.
Obviously,
yeah. Like I mean, that's where people put stuff in the network. They say the table for threes are really good because they go in depth into stuff. Drive Along can sometimes be really funny. The 24 documentaries, the Kevin Owens one is apparently really good.
They just launched that new one, 365.
Sorry, that's what I mean. Yeah, the 365 one and the social media lounge.
Wow, yeah.
Have you seen what happens on the Kevin Owens one?
No, I did see them have a trailer for it, but I think I was too busy writing down notes. But it is on my I do want to watch that. I might even watch it this afternoon.
There is a heartbreaking moment at WrestleMania in gorilla position, not gorilla position, but where all the backstage production stuff is, and Vince has his headset on, he's watching a screen, and Kevin Owens walks over and says, this is after his match with Jericho, I assume someone has said to Owens, Vince wasn't happy with the match. You probably want to go over and say something to him. And Owens goes over and goes, are we good? And McMahon doesn't look up and just goes, no. And doesn't say anything else. And Owens, you can't see Owens' face because where the camera is just standing there. And he stands there for about 15 seconds. And then he walks off. And you're like, and Vince is just like continues talking. And you're like, oh my God, imagine feeling that.
Yeah.
Because I bet Owens was just there like completely mortified.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait to watch it all. I've only seen that clip. But the show of Survivor Series, 41 minutes into our own show, kicked off with The Shield versus The New Day.
Yep, and my first note here is, oh my God, we have a 5-man commentary team.
Yes.
Oh boy, did we have a 5-man commentary team, all sat behind the same desk, in the Raw position, because that is the A show, and man, it was awful. All night, bloody long.
Yeah, we should probably just put that as a disclaimer.
Disclaimer.
The commentary was awful.
So bad. The amount of times, and it was at its worst after matches, when you had, if a SmackDown team won, you got Byron Saxton go like, SmackDown's good at point, and then you got like Michael Cole go like, oh, shut up, Saxton, and just talking over each other and just arguing. It was just, the amount of times I said to myself, oh, guys, shut up. Stop talking. It was awful.
Compared to the previous night's commentary, where McGuinness and Ranello are just superb. Percy Watson, don't really
I actually
notice
thought
him.
Percy was all right on and I mean,
I kind of tune him out.
that's because I think he says about 3 things per show. But at least those 3 things are usually all right.
Because on the pre-show, they did have split commentary teams. And even for the Cruiserweight match, it was Tom Phillips and Nigel McGuinness. That's right. No, it's Vic Joseph.
Vic Joseph.
And I actually thought, oh, they're going to continue this for the main show because it would only really be Byron Saxton. Like Corey Graves would be on all the bits.
Yeah.
Like he must get a tired voice. And then when all 5 of them are standing there, I was like, oh God, I didn't even comprehend this as a possibility.
It did look like the worst faction of all time.
Yeah, it was like, who needs Michael Cole and Tom Phillips?
Who both sound exactly the same.
Yeah.
Oh, dearie me, it was bad. And Booker T, he had a hell of a night. Poor old Ross is going to have a hell of a time going through all of the things that Booker T said. Oh, man alive.
Although I'm going to fight my boy Byron's corner later on.
I thought Byron was great, actually. In his little bits that he got in there.
Yeah.
When he was cheering on SmackDown, couldn't stand the man. But he did get a couple of lines in there where I was like, that's pretty good.
Are you coming round to my way of thinking that he plays his character perfectly?
He does play a nerd very well.
There was I can't remember where this line... there's one line later on which I love, and I'll talk about it at the time, but I can't remember where this one came, so I'll bring it up now. Like Booker T said something like, people like you have never had a real fight in your life, and Byron just said, I know people who have had fights. Anyway, the Shield versus the New Day. New Day cut a promo beforehand, sort of positioning them as the baby faces.
Yeah. Actually, my first notes really about this is when they were doing their entrance, and it just kind of sort of struck me as the real problem of this Raw versus SmackDown thing that they're trying to do. So WWE's general idea with the Raw versus SmackDown thing is that people will watch Raw and people will watch SmackDown in the same way that people watch WWF and people watch WCW. You have loyal fan bases to both. If you only like the guys that are on here, and you don't like the guys that are on here, if you like this brand over here. That's their idea. That's what they want. That's not what happens. Nevermore was that personified, or just like perfectly captured, when Kevin Dunn filmed a woman wearing a Raw shirt, holding her child in a Raw shirt, celebrating the New Day coming down to the ring. And I was like, this doesn't work. And if this is the gimmick you're trying to get over, don't focus on that person there that's going against the thing you're trying to get over.
Oh, or just stop having as many shots of individual people in the crowd. It's infuriating. The Shield, they always kind of wrestle quite heelish anyway. They're sort of pack of dogs mentality. I thought this was a really good match, but it wasn't as good as their individual feuds with the Bar and Usos.
Yeah, I completely agree. I thought this match took a little while to get going. By the end, I was really enjoying it. I thought the second half was much better than the first half. But yeah, I thought it was a bit... It wasn't as great as I'd hoped it would be. I thought they were going to put on a real, steal the show, barn burner match.
Especially when it was the opener. I thought they're going to go out and kill it.
Absolutely. And I really don't think that they did. Also, Roman has no team spirit. He did come down with his half Raw, half Shield shirt. Terrible. What a loser he is.
What about Cena?
Well, I'll get to that.
I can't remember the last time I saw a Seth Rollins buckle bomb.
No.
I thought he retired that after killing 2 people.
Yeah, there's a great moment from Booker T here during the Unicorn Stampede when they're doing legal tags, and Booker T goes, "Ref, do your job," and everyone was like, "He is, Booker. That's a legal maneuver." And I actually, do you know what? I didn't think I thought the crowd weren't really into this match either until Roman came in. I thought the crowd really came alive when Roman came in, because all of a sudden you've got people who like Roman and cheered him, and people who don't like Roman who wanted to boo him. And all of a sudden the crowd came alive, and then I thought the crowd were actually hotter for the rest of the match.
And unfortunately, WWE don't hear the split reaction, they just hear the reaction.
Yes,
and
exactly.
That's why they continue to push it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it was like, not to take away, because it was a really enjoyable match, but maybe it's my own fault, maybe it's WWE's. I expected a night-stealing performance.
I completely agree. I did love the spot, though. I thought they did a double midnight hour thing, which was a bit messy at times. It took a little while to kind of get themselves into position for it. But I did love when they had the pin and Roman did the spear onto one of the New Day into the pin. I thought that was a really, really nice move. And then, the super duper ooper duper triple power bomb off the second rope. Nice little spot. Great finish.
You mean a shield bomb?
No, it's not the shield bomb anymore. It's
no,
TM.
I know. Thank God.
Thank God.
That was one night. They saw the light.
Oh, but then we got maybe the best thing on the show: Stephanie McMahon being shrill, playing with her toys, and telling all the kids to go out and have fun at recess.
Stephanie McMahon in heels, being really tall and looking much bigger than everyone else there.
I've written here: Stephanie is backstage, towering over every woman on the roster. Unbelievable.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, unbelievable. Poor Asuka.
Asuka looked like... So by the end of this match, this is the women's elimination match, of course, Asuka did look the best that she's looked on the main roster so far.
Yes.
However, it was... because I've seen a lot of people go, "Oh, Asuka, yeah, now she's finally arrived." But I was watching the match, and I thought... Well, let's get into the match then.
Yeah.
She came in off a tag. This was her first involvement in the match. She came in, did a few kicks in the corner, tagged out. And I was like, what? Why are you doing this? Why don't you have just Asuka sitting on the side? Just staring down, crazily staring down someone from the other side? Because it's Becky Lynch, right? They've been going back and forth building the stuff about breaking her arm. She didn't even get to touch Becky Lynch because Becky Lynch was eliminated by that surprise Bayley roll-up.
Yeah, in about a minute.
Yeah, and then Bayley went soon after that. It was like, oh, great. This is... And Alicia Fox screwed up her one.
God, Alicia Fox.
Fox and Naomi's exchange was pretty horrendous.
I think they tried 100 moves and botched every single one of them. But on your Asuka points, there was another part where they did the match we've all been waiting for, the Nia Jax Tamina stare down. This was and actually, I'll be honest with you, although I'm being very facetious here, actually was quite cool that was really good. I thought but there was a moment when Nia went over and clobbered one of the SmackDown women who were on the entrance, and I was like, okay, cool. So Tamina's going to go and do that spot now. And I was about to write in my notes, I hope she doesn't do it to Asuka. She hits Asuka, and I'm like, that better build to something, and it didn't.
Yeah,
I've written here, not Asuka, FFS.
There's a way you could have... Asuka did look good off the back of this, but if you built the whole storyline of Asuka's rogue, Asuka's a badass, she's not even she's not even at the Stephanie McMahon team address.
Yeah.
That makes her look so much cooler.
Yeah.
But that's not what happened.
And they also kept calling Nia Jax the biggest threat on Team Raw, which I think really downplays the specialness of Asuka. I feel like sometimes this show does turn into the Asuka love fest and how WWE just aren't really using her effectively. Can I give you a couple of other nitpicks that I had about this?
Tell me.
Why was Natalya so happy? She was just smiling.
Yeah.
She was cheering herself. And then...
Just lost the title.
Just lost the title a few days ago, so she's now not in the big championship match. She was a very last-minute addition into this match. And she was
mystery addition.
So she was clearly an afterthought. Here she comes out, smiling. Hey, I'm on Team SmackDown. I'm Team Blue. And then Becky Lynch, then they're in the ring. She's like, yay, Becky, go. And I'm like, don't you hate this person? Like, why are you suddenly cheering these people? Also, Booker T at one point said, imagine if we lost Natalya. Not on your team, Booker.
Oh, God. What is wrong with him?
I also written here, was Alicia Fox eliminated? Not sure what happened.
So yeah, I've watched this multiple times because no one ever announces her elimination. Everyone else, Sasha Banks has been eliminated.
Guarantee you that's a storyline point. They'll bring that up on Raw.
Geez.
That'll be her new gimmick.
And the unpinnable, unbeatable Alicia Fox.
And that'll be her
she screws everything up.
And that'll be her starting feud into Asuka, undefeated at Survivor Series, going against the undefeated Empress of Tomorrow.
This is the 4th time this year she's screwed up a TV or pay-per-view match like that. And it was all in the pins. Like, all she had to do was stay down for 3. Why did she...
But I don't think that's what she was meant to do. She was meant to do the... Because Naomi does this a lot, where she gets you into the pin and then you kick out 2, but she does that into the submission that she does. And I think that Alicia Fox just stayed down for 3 rather than getting up to do the submission, because they then went to do the submission, but Alicia Fox started to roll out. I think
the referee pushed her out. He was pushing her out. No, Alicia Fox kicked out at 2.
Yeah. What a mess.
Yeah. But this did get really good at the end. I really liked Asuka and Natalya in the ring together. I thought Asuka's ground submission game was so slick. Just doing all the various submission moves.
I loved her counter of the sharpshooter as well. Such an inventive, I loved it. Thought it was great.
Next up, we had. So we both had Raw for that, didn't we?
We certainly did.
We did.
I've also written down here, this commentary is pissing me off.
Yeah. Next up, we had Stephanie McMahon and Daniel Bryan backstage, because Stephanie McMahon is all over this show.
Also, they were here to remind us that Triple H, Shane and Cena are the stars of the main event.
And also, so Stephanie asked Bryan in this bit here, she said, I just want to know how Shane McMahon got John Cena, free agent John Cena. Did he just think of it first, or did you strike a deal? And Daniel Bryan was like, I don't know. And that was it. Like, I thought someone was going to explain it, and just no, we didn't bother to contextualize that.
Especially because someone pointed out to me on Twitter something I actually hadn't thought of, where Shane McMahon's been doing this whole thing about just the people on the Raw team have had to, the people on the SmackDown team have had to earn their spots into this match. It's why Randy Orton had a qualifying match. It's why Shinsuke had a qualifying match, and it's why John Cena was just put into the match.
And me as Shane McMahon, I just put myself into this match too.
Yeah, exactly. Bobby Roode had a qualifying match. Rusev had to have a qualifying match and lost. He didn't get on the team.
He had a second qualifying match. Oh, no, he was meant to face AJ Styles.
Yeah, and then he
faced Randy Orton, who was already on the team.
Yeah.
Big mess. But this segment was pretty good when Stephanie said, well, when we kill Shane McMahon, when we hurt my brother, you'll have full control of SmackDown. What would you do with it? And it's just left on Daniel Bryan not really giving anything away with his face. But it was that's an interesting plot point. Next up, we had the bathroom break, which it was actually pretty decent. Baron Corbin versus The Miz.
Yeah, I'll be honest, this match was better than I expected, but it is literally my expectations were so low that it certainly exceeded said expectations. Having said that, I've only written one note, which is end of days from out of nowhere, Corbin wins.
Yeah, they're building that up as a new out of nowhere move, aren't they? Which I quite like. It does look good,
especially if you then are building up to a feud with Randy Orton, where it's the moves from out of nowhere.
There was Mr. Raj interference. Corbin shouted at Maurice, I'm what a real man looks like. Maurice was like,
I'm surprised that didn't play into the finish.
Yeah. Well, I thought Baron looked pretty good here.
Yeah.
Because he did take out a lot of the Mr. Raj. Doesn't hurt the Miz.
Yep.
And Corbin cut a promo afterwards saying, I'm going to shut up everyone's mouth.
Although he got the line wrong.
Did he? What did he say?
Because the Miz's thing is when my hand goes up, your mouth goes shut. He said, your hand is down, your mouth goes close.
Yeah. Your mouth goes close.
I was like, you idiot, Baron. You had one line.
So I had Baron Corbin for the win there.
Yeah, I thought the Miz would win.
So that's 1-up to me.
Yep.
Paul Heyman then cut a fantastic promo backstage on AJ Styles.
Certainly did.
Just building him up. And he cut an even better one on the YouTube channel after the whole night, comparing him to Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair. Really, he's a surprise, surprise, he's a great promo. The Usos and The Bar then had probably my second favourite match on the show.
Yep.
It was just really good. It was just really, really good. It wasn't as good as their respective Shield and New Day feuds. But it was, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was good. It took a little while to get going, but I think after they'd done the first fake out hot tag, I thought that's when the match really picked up. And I sort of actually quite enjoyed it from that moment on. There was I'm now actually going to jump to the defense of Booker T in this segment here, because Booker T was talking about tag team wrestling, as he does, because he started out his career as a tag team wrestler with his brother Stevie Ray. And he said, I'm a 10-time tag team champion. And then Michael Cole and Corey Graves started to laugh, started to call him out, and it's saying, like, you were never a 10-time tag team champ. I checked it, he was. He was a WCW, 10-time champion in WCW. He's also won multiple tag team championships in WWE. So, actually, Booker was right. Although he did then follow that up when he said to Corey, when were you a tag team champion? And then Corey and Michael stumbled over each other to try and make the point first that he was an NXT tag team champion.
Yeah. The actual match, I really got into the near falls when the Bar worked over one of the Usos for quite a while. Jay, hopefully. I'm sure we'll get told who it was.
Well, I've got here Sheamus dragging Jay. So good. And I think that was from
so good.
And I think that was because Jay was going for the hot tag and he was just dragging him away while going to his corner so he could tag in Cesaro.
Then there was they said super kick party on the commentary.
They certainly did.
Which, of course, is a Young Bucks. Might be trademarked. Dave Meltzer said it might be. He's going to ask the Young Bucks. They might have trademarked that for merchandise reasons in a wrestling capacity. So maybe there could be an interesting cease and desist back and forth there.
Yeah, but can you complain? I suppose you can send them a cease and desist. They don't say that anymore. Yeah.
And my favourite spot was pretty much the last bit, one of the Usos doing a flying tag. So he jumped over the rope towards the commentary desks to hit Cesaro with a splash, although it looks like he just hit the table. But as he did so, he tagged in his brother, who came in for the win. I thought that was a spectacular finish.
The Usos are amazing. They are so good.
Yeah.
And so for me, the big story of this night of Survivor Series is that SmackDown is a brand full of geeks and losers. But I think the Usos stand head and shoulders above them in terms of the actual booking of this show. And Charlotte.
So this was the first match where I was like, oh man, this, if these two guys had a whole month feud behind them and they could build a match around the parts of the story they've told, this would have been one of the best matches of the year in WWE, I think.
But unfortunately, this is the one night of the year where Raw and SmackDown go head-to-head in direct competition.
Yeah, but that's it. It was then I realised, oh wait, but it doesn't have a story going into it. Oh wait, but more importantly, it doesn't have a story coming out of it. And then I thought, oh my god, this entire night is practically worthless.
Thank you. Now you see what I've been saying for weeks on end.
Well, I never disagreed with you. I don't think the SmackDown Raw narratives separately stopped, but the Raw and SmackDown narrative, of course, stops. That's why, the main event was a Raw storyline, really, when we get to that. And it was just like, this is, as fun as all these matches are, that they would all be better with either something on the line, or if the brand split wasn't in existence and everyone could wrestle on multiple shows.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a shame. Then we had Jason Jordan backstage saying he is still sad that he's not competing tonight, and he wants Team Raw to win, but he wants Triple H to get eliminated first.
Yeah, I've written here he's 100% behind his teammates, so he's definitely turning tonight then.
Yeah, 80% behind his teammates. If he didn't want Triple H.
Yeah.
There's some Scott Steiner maths right there. So when he said this, I was like, yeah, he's definitely playing into the bit
finish.
later.
Yeah.
Nope.
Not at all. Not at all.
Did not set anything up. And all that stuff, all the stuff we were excited about with Kurt Angle and Jason Jordan and how the father-son dynamic might play into things.
Nope. Nothing there.
And we're like, Jason Jordan, he's playing this whiny this baby face who's turned into whiny heel really, really well. What a nuanced performance. No, I'm pretty sure they're still pushing him as a baby face.
Yeah, but thankfully, at least we had that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Shane storyline that will definitely play into the finish at some point. God, I can't wait to see that.
So next up we had Charlotte versus Alexa Bliss. This was all of the matches got a decent length of time. This was 15 minutes. But this was the first match I felt was too long.
I barely wrote any notes for it. And it's not because I wasn't paying attention or anything. There was nothing I felt in the match that was worth taking a note for.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the placing in the match because, of course, in the night, because we'd have seen 2 and a bit hours of wrestling by this point. But I just it was like forgettable. It was just
really forgettable. Real shame.
I did like Bliss. The only thing I've written down really is that Bliss screaming and trash talking Charlotte. Why won't you give up?
Yeah,
so she's very good at that.
But Charlotte won figure eights. She is the best women's wrestler in the world according to WWE.
Yeah, it's like her and Mae Young. They're joint. Yeah. Did Charlotte's figure eight look even better than usual, or was that just me?
Might just be you.
I thought it looked insane. Really good. Now, here we go.
Now we're talking.
Brock Lesnar can't have good matches, everybody.
Yep, he can't. He's really boring.
I thought you were going to continue talking.
Oh, sorry.
I had a sip of water.
No, well, you didn't really set me up.
Sorry. I thought you would have seen. I thought we've got that understanding, that mental unspoken thing.
Maybe we're not. Maybe we're not. Maybe we don't.
So Brock Lesnar took on AJ Styles in just a great match from top to bottom. It felt big time right from the get-go, the way they both introduced themselves with the belts. There was the ring announcing. Paul Heyman did Brock Lesnar's. And it just it felt like there was something in the air. And this always happens with Brock's matches. It's like there's something different about him. And it's the way he's used sparingly. It is that Pavlovian response of, Brock Lesnar's here. When Brock Lesnar's here, it's a different kind of match to everything else we see on the card.
Absolutely.
And that makes us excited. And big stuff happens. You see Brock, you associate big stuff. So just from the get-go, this is awesome chance in my little fan heart.
I cannot tell you how much I loved this match. I thought this match, it was Brock's best singles match since WrestleMania. Possibly
he's only had 2, hasn't he?
Well, no, he had Braun and Joe.
Braun.
Yeah, but I thought this was the best match, probably the best match he's had this year, and I loved that Goldberg match as has been well documented. Also, an interesting point here: Lesnar is the longest reigning champion in 4 years in WWE. That's what Michael Cole said. I don't know if that's factually accurate.
From Mania.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's had it for he's had it for 200 odd days or whatever.
Well, I guess the last one was Punk.
Yeah.
So, but the first 5 minutes, because this was a 15-minute match, first 5 minutes was Brock suplexing AJ.
And he sold it like an absolute champ.
There was all the suplexes looked great, but there was one belly-to-belly suplex where Brock just launched AJ up in the air. And I was like, oh my God, I've never seen that sort of elevation from a belly-to-belly. It looked terrific.
Absolutely terrific.
And I knew something more was coming, but this is the Brock Lesnar match that everyone criticizes, just suplex, high knee. But it was all that, the stuff that we saw with Braun, the stuff that we saw with Dean Ambrose. But it felt it just felt different. It
Absolutely.
felt proper.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of that's AJ selling. I don't know how much of that is Brock actually caring.
I think it's a bit of both,
Bit of both, probably.
I think AJ is really great at selling. Since he's got his long hair, he uses that so effectively with his selling to really convey extra emotion. I just thought he was so great in this
AJ
match.
sells with his hair.
Yeah.
How so?
Well, they used to there's the old wrestling adage that if you've got long hair, if you're in a submission, you can shake your hair because that adds extra drama to it, and you can do the same thing when you're taking a big bump, your hair flips around and everything like that.
Kick back.
Exactly. It's why there's a lot of wrestlers don't like wearing a mask because then you don't have any facial expressions to use. It's what I said about Sin Cara on that Money in the Bank 2011 Patreon podcast we did. Whereas when Sin Cara just hits the floor, because he hasn't got any facial reactions, it's just
yeah, looks like a dummy.
Yeah, but AJ, on the other hand, has just concelled with every single part of his body, including his luscious hair.
Including dead protein follicles. That's how good AJ is.
I've written in my notes, this is awesome, or this is effing awesome, or this is so effing good multiple times in my notes.
Yes, you have. You love writing swear words, cuss words down in your notes.
I know, hashtag push Naughty Luke.
Then AJ started to make the comeback. And that's when it was already better than Brock's usual fare. But this was when I was like, here we go.
Yeah.
Because AJ then just had this terrific run of like a phenomenal forearm to the outside, 450 splash. And this was like, apart from the Velveteen Dream stuff the previous night, this was the spot of the weekend for me. Brock in the calf crusher.
Oh, and not even that was the start of it. Like, it was the F5 into the calf crusher. Like, it was just a brilliant sequence. And Brock's selling of that calf crusher was so good.
He was screaming. And usually Brock's selling is very realistic in that he's sort of selling in a way where he doesn't want the other person to know. Because you were in a professional fight, you wouldn't want to go, oh, my knee really hurts. Ow, my knee. Because the other guy's going to go, all right, I'm going to keep hitting your knee. But Brock sort of sells it in a way how you would, I guess, from being a professional MMA fighter, where you try and you let the audience know, but you do it in a way where you're trying to pretend to hide it, layers upon layers, and that's how he was selling up until this point. But when he locked in the calf crusher and AJ finally yanked it back, Brock was screaming, and it was on forever.
Yeah.
But Shane McMahon probably still wouldn't have tapped. So Brock had him in, and I was thinking, how's he going to get out of this? Because he can't reach the ropes either side. And then Brock just grabs AJ's head and slams him down on the mat several times like a freaking King Kong gorilla.
It was so awesome. I mean, like, okay, so there was, as much as I love this match, there was a slightly messy period where I think one of them might have got dinged, or they kind of sort of like fell out of communication with each other. And there was a couple of moments where it was a little bit sloppy, but they picked this up so quickly and just got it right back on track. And the crowd were popped huge for the calf crusher and bought it as a genuine finish. And that is down, A, to that move being over and AJ getting that move over, but also to Brock's selling, where a lot of people bought into it as a finish.
Yeah, I genuinely thought, maybe I did genuinely think in my mind as well, AJ might be winning here.
I figured Brock was winning,
Yeah.
only because it's Brock and you've got to build him for Roman at WrestleMania. I was like, yeah, Brock's going to win one F5. Away we go. But also, SmackDown were leading in the scoring system, and I was like, they've got to tie this up before they get into the main event.
Speaking of Brock winning with one F5, that was, of course, the finish, and it plays into the larger story of Brock beating person after person with an F5, a single F5. So Roman Reigns kicks out at Mania to a big pop, maybe, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm sure some people will pop. Yeah.
So that made it 3-3 going into the elimination match. Brock walking out, he was still selling the leg, he was limping. And I thought, what's he going to do here? Is he going to turn around and like shake AJ's hand? Is he going to nod or something? And it was kind of like how I felt with the Velveteen Dream and Aleister Black the previous night. I thought, I want him to do that, but I don't need him to do that. Like, really, I want him to just do exactly what he did, which was the occasional look back. Not really like, not go, well done, mate. We're all friends now. But like a sort of, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
He took me to the limit.
That was so
and
close.
I really enjoyed Brock's performance, just of everything.
And as you said so eloquently earlier on in this show, in any other night could have gone the other way. And I thought that was a really wonderful story to tell.
And that, just like the Finn Balor match at TLC, I really want to see a rematch.
Yeah.
Because as great as that was, as great as the Finn Balor match was, I feel like there's so many other bits they could do.
Oh, but it's the one night of the year where Raw and SmackDown go head-to-head in direct competition.
Come on, Superstar Shake-Up. That's what I really want, an AJ Brock feud now. Now, the main event. The men's elimination match.
Yeah. So you've got your first note here is John Cena didn't get the dress code memo. My first note is, why is Triple H above wearing the Raw t-shirt? And Raw, like everyone else is wearing the red Raw t-shirts like absolute geeks. So they've got Finn Balor's wearing red trunks. Everyone's got red in all of their attire. With the exception of Triple H, who comes out wearing his own t-shirt, which happens to be red, and wearing his usual black pants. I'm like, you're not a team player.
No. Well, I mean, maybe that's very subtle storytelling. For what happened, I doubt.
And also, and John, I said, and then I've written, I guess John Cena's above all of this too.
Yeah.
Looks like he literally landed 5 minutes before they were about to go out. Just got in, said, one more spot, do this, and this. He's like, cool, pass me what's the new t-shirt you've got me selling? Pass it here, I'll put that on, I'll throw it out into the crowd.
Yeah.
Which is luminous green.
And he's it wasn't just that, but his wristbands and other bits were luminous green.
He was not a team player.
You can make the argument, and they didn't really play it up that much, that he's a free agent. So but he's still signed to Team SmackDown.
Yeah.
That was bad. I didn't like that. But here's my Byron Saxton moment.
I knew this was going to be the one.
Because it turns out that we finally got an answer to the question, who really is Byron Saxton? Bobby Roode's coming out and Corey Graves is putting over the entrance. It's like, hallelujah! And Corey Graves says, no, Tom Phillips, it's hallelujah. And then you hear Byron Saxton say, I'm not Phillips.
I'm Saxton.
I'm Saxton. And Corey got confused with Phillips and Saxton. It was brilliant. That was my favourite commentary line of the night.
I tell you what, my favourite actually was just slightly before that. Was when when Corey Graves was like, "Oh, Booker, wait till you see this. This is how we do it on SmackDown Live. Can I get a hallelujah?" Booker T clearly never watched an episode of SmackDown Live in his life. Never watched an episode of NXT in his life. No idea who Bobby Roode is in WWE. Obviously knows him from TNA. Doesn't know what his entrance music is. And then went, hallelujah.
Great.
Good one, Booker T.
Some more great commentary notes. Michael Cole trying to make Shin happen.
Yeah. Mine I've got here is because Michael Cole said this a lot during the night, trying to put over this whole Raw v SmackDown being the one night of the year. When Joe and Orton were in the ring, Michael Cole said, "When did you think you'd ever see this happen?" I've written my note here. I mean, at some point they're in the same company.
Yeah. It was atrocious commentary, really, all the way through the night. So, the actual match, I loved the start. I loved the first, I suppose, 10, 15 minutes. It went about 35 minutes overall, I think, this match.
Yeah.
Braun Strowman immediately takes out Shane, and everyone's like, oh my God, Braun's big. Yeah. And that was good. It got Braun over, then Braun tagged out, and that Nakamura... So, Finn Balor tagged in.
Well, yeah, so Nakamura tagged in, and he got in, and he was facing down Braun Strowman, and then I think someone tagged out Braun, and then Finn got in. And then essentially it was just like, what the next 10 minutes or so was just like, hey, all those matchups you really want to see in WWE, here's a very condensed version of that, and you might see it at a later date.
Yeah, which is great. Like, that's sort of what we got from Money in the Bank with AJ and Nakamura.
Yeah.
I love this. It was Angle Bobby Roode. Angle Nakamura.
Triple H
Nakamura.
Loved all this. It's what I was saying in the Saturday video. This is all the stuff that I was really, really excited to see. Also, I've got a note incorrect here, but I've been corrected on it since. So when Joe Nakamura and Balor were in the ring, apparently there were chants of NXT. And then there were a lot of people there who started to boo that because they're like, you dorks, they met in New Japan. So then started a New Japan chant. I thought they were chanting Bruiserweight. I thought because they were going New Japan. And I was trying to make it out, and I was like, I think they're chanting Bruiserweight. How odd.
That doesn't sound anything like it.
No, I know, and that's why I was like, I've written my note here. Chance of Bruiserweight? Question mark.
The Nakamura Balor exchange was the best of everything, I thought. It was just like the actual wrestling, the exchanges. They were trying to mat wrestle each other. Then Nakamura did his the rope break thing where he puts his head on them, and Finn Balor switched it round and just gave him a too sweet on the forehead.
Such a great spot.
Did you see Nakamura's follow-up? He touches his forehead where Balor did the too sweet gesture, and then he licks it.
Yeah.
Like, is it too sweet?
I've been here. Nakamura is such a star. Although, I will say, as much as I really enjoyed Triple H being in the ring with Bobby Roode, because it did look like a son wrestling his dad, more than Kurt Angle and Jason Jordan will, and I loved Triple H and Nakamura in there, I did feel that Triple H got the better of both of them.
Yes. So shall we get into the bad, which is the first person to be eliminated was Nakamura.
Of course, because he's good.
Yep, and then very soon after was Samoa Joe.
I know Roode was next up.
Bobby Roode. And it was like, okay, so the people left on SmackDown now are Shane McMahon, John Cena, and Randy Orton.
Of course, because they're the stars. I've written here, Braun eliminates Nak, Braun eliminates Roode. Those new stars, eh? They're really getting themselves over.
I mean, the argument is Braun was the main project to get over. But if you're giving Braun the big bit at the end, maybe he didn't need to slay these two here. It's just a shame because Nakamura was the most exciting thing in the match. Yeah. And then he was just taken out. And Nakamura really has cooled off. Like, he hasn't even been on SmackDown for a few weeks.
No, absolutely not.
Unless they're big, Shane McMahon addresses. It's this just like Asuka, how they sort of booted Asuka a bit in the Survivor Series match. A good showing here could have done the same for Nakamura.
Yeah, I was really, really sad to see Nakamura go. Although I will say that when they were left with Cena, Orton, and Shane, there were quite a few moments in there where Cena and Orton were like working together, and I was like, man, what a great tag team that would be. Like to give them something else to do, so they're not going after the world title, is to put them together as like the Ruthless Aggression tag team. I thought I could get behind that.
I couldn't. I don't want to see that at all.
No.
I've had quite enough of Cena and Orton. I just hear those two names and I immediately start to get sleepy.
But they're not facing each other. That's the key to it.
It's still it just replaces the verses with an ampersand. It's too close. So then after those two young developing stars, we had Samoa Joe. Now the Samoa Joe one did have a reason behind it. Joe was going there was dissension.
But why was there dissension?
That's it. I don't think the dissension was well enough planted. It just like, we've got to create some dissension. I'm just gonna start mouthing off to people.
Well, that's what I've written here. SmackDown aren't beating Raw. Raw are beating Raw. All of Raw's eliminations came from like dissension or like SmackDown
or Triple H.
SmackDown looked like an absolute joke in this match. The whole night was SmackDown Live looking like complete and utter geeks, but in this match in particular, they looked like complete chumps.
Yeah, so this weird Joe Strowman Balor dissension that led to Joe getting, and then like Angle and Triple H just started because Angle was trying to calm things down as the team captain, and then Triple H was just like, "What are you doing, Kurt Angle? I'm meant to be angry with you. Let's do this."
Yeah.
But like, why are you angry? You can't just start being angry at
they're
each other.
winning.
Yeah. You've got a 5-on-3
advantage.
Yeah.
And your people you're facing up against, one of them is Shane McMahon. You've got this. You're all right.
Then the entire team put Strowman through the announcer's table.
Yep.
Then there was a bit more. I jumped the gun there with Joe getting eliminated because we did have a Joe John Cena exchange, which I thought was really good.
Yeah, really loved that.
I like that because they were working together on the house shows before Joe got injured back in August, so they probably worked together quite a bit.
There's a great line in there where Corey Graves, because they were like throughout the match, they kept talking like, "Oh man, you know the history between these two." Like when Balor and Nakamura were in the ring, it's like they kept putting over. It's like, "Oh man, Triple H brought a lot of these guys in the match to WWE." And then Joe and Cena got into the ring, and Corey Graves, the absolute pro, was just like, "Man, I mean, what a storied history that these two have had together." Michael Cole jumped just like, "Never met in a WWE ring. Shut up."
Hallelujah. Booker T still trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
So then John eliminated Joe because of the Balor tension. Then you had a nice bit of Kurt versus Cena.
And we know the history there.
Of course. Kurt was John Cena's first match in WWE. And then it was good. I liked it. And Angle got Angle got him in the ankle lock, but it was the Olympic slam that put him away.
Yeah, he did 2 Olympic slams, I think.
Yeah.
And a coup de grace.
But it was just like that's what you're using Cena for. He did nothing.
Absolutely. As I said,
he was just a name.
He just got off the plane. He's busy filming Transformers. He wasn't meant to be. Well, he was meant to be a referee. Now he's in a match. Not really prepared for it. He did some bits. Then he went.
Then Orton eliminated Balor, and then I was like, oh. Great.
Yeah, new stars. Those new stars, eh?
Like Balor after that amazing showing at TLC. Well, maybe Survivor Series. Okay,
no,
we're not doing this.
No, Orton's the star.
And at this point, Braun was taken out still when he was suplexed through the announcer's table by all of Team SmackDown. So you had Kurt Angle, Triple H versus Randy Orton and Shane McMahon. The average age of 44 and a quarter, I worked out.
Told you, man, they're the stars. That's the problem. They're the stars.
So then Orton went for the hot tag of Shane, but Shane was pulled off the apron by Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Here they are.
They're going to get their revenge on Shane McMahon for not putting them in the team. What happened to them, Ollie?
Shane McMahon chased him off with a chair.
He beat both of them up 2-on-1, like complete and utter chumps, further burying the SmackDown brand. As I've written here, because then after that, it's Sami and Kev, they attack Shane. Oh, it's okay, the bigger star is here. And then Braun eliminates Randy Orton, so we've got Super Shane left to defend the SmackDown brand. Thank God the real star is left.
47-year-old, untrained professional wrestler, Shane McMahon. Fought off your most intriguing heel faction on SmackDown and is the sole survivor against 3 people, and and
he's the star.
It was really quite frustrating at this point. And when Kurt Angle got Shane in the ankle lock, and Shane did not tap out for about a minute.
I was going to say 5. He felt like he was in that move for so long.
It was every second longer. That's the sort of move when Kurt Angle locks it on, especially the grapevine, you tap out immediately. If you're someone like Shane, that really got to me.
Yeah.
I love Kurt Angle. He's my favorite wrestler of all time. It was insulting.
Yeah.
It was actually insulting as a fan.
But luckily enough for Shane McMahon, Triple H then eliminated Kurt Angle.
Yes, so this was where everything
fell apart.
It was because it was really good opening, all the dream match stuff. Then it was the senior part of it where you just had the old stars.
Just getting rid of all that new talent.
And then it was time for the third movement of the match, which was just stupid booking.
I've no idea what this was all about. I mean, obviously that's a fairly rhetorical question. I know it's all about the McMahons. It's all about that McMahon Triple H ego. But it was mind-boggling. Yeah. So there was Braun was in there, then Triple H tagged himself in, then Kurt Angle tagged himself in.
Well, that was
Was that before the ankle lock stuff?
Yeah,
and then,
that was when it was just Shane McMahon, and they were like, "No, I want to get him. No, I want to get him." And it kind of works because Kurt Angle tagged Braun out first because Kurt Angle, they've got the opposing commissioner GM thing going on, the invasions, makes sense. Then Triple H tagged in. I thought, okay, there's a family feud thing going on here. Stephanie doesn't like him. Yeah. That also makes sense. So I didn't mind that bit.
But then, so then Triple H comes in again and he pedigrees Kurt Angle.
Yes.
And then puts Shane on top of him. And is like, oh man, Triple H has turned to SmackDown, I guess. He's actually helping Shane. Then they had, I'd say, about a 10-minute segment where Shane was trying to get back to his feet and Triple H was still looking at him, just staring at Braun.
Yeah.
Then Triple H pedigrees Shane and pins him. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then the commentators are going like, brilliant mind games by Triple H. I was like, what mind games? And they're like, he played Braun Strowman. I was like, how did he play Braun Strowman?
There's no story leading up into that.
What the hell was this all about?
So, and the report from PW Insider was that the Triple H call to add him to the Survivor Series main event was made last Saturday, Sunday. So they came up with all... This wasn't like a long-term plan.
Yeah.
Because it's got no story coming into it. This is the first time Triple H has come back since WrestleMania, the Monday, the Go Home Raw. And you could tell that the crowd were just... It wasn't the sort of, ooh, what's going on here? Oh, wow, turns. It was,
Yeah. Oh,
the crowd just died after this.
It was like a morgue.
Yeah.
And actually, I thought the crowd were so dead once they eliminated all of the NXT guys.
Yeah.
Once they eliminated all the newer stars, and it was just Cena, Orton, Shane, Kurt Angle, Triple H. The crowd were really dead after that. And it was only when Braun Strowman got in that the crowd came alive again.
So, Triple H, I just can't... Something might happen on Raw tonight that explains it more. I kind of doubt it will. But if the whole idea was Kurt Angle's job is on the line if he fails to lead Team Raw to victory, why don't you, and you want to get rid of Kurt Angle, why do you then still pin Shane McMahon? Because Kurt Angle's been eliminated, but he hasn't lost his job.
Mm-hmm.
But you could have...
I don't know, man. I thought this was a baffling end to a match that I was really enjoying in the first 10 minutes, but by the end of it, I hated it.
It just, like everything we said, this is a great match. This entire card looks really good on paper, and they delivered on the majority of the matches. But we're like, the only thing that could screw it up is bad booking. And well done, WWE, you managed to screw it up.
Yeah.
The other thing that I just can't get my head round is you've got Owens and Zayn, you've got their interference on Shane. Why can't that play into it? You've got the pre-existing relationship with Triple H and the Authority. Owens and Zayn can be like this Authority-affiliated faction causing havoc on SmackDown afterwards. Why can't those two storylines cross over as a joint cause?
They're not stars.
But it's but it would elevate them. I know you're being facetious, but then the whole match kind of makes a bit more sense. It takes away that bitter taste about it just being the old guys. It plays into the larger narrative on SmackDown.
Problem is there, Ollie, with your booking is that if Sammy and Kevin had caused the distraction, then Triple H wouldn't have had all the glory of eliminating Kurt Angle and Shane McMahon in the match, eliminating one of his own team members. Also, the other question, where was Jason Jordan?
Yeah.
He said in the night, I'm 100%, and I'll be out there later tonight. Where was he when his dad was being pedigreed by the man who'd pedigreed him on Monday night?
I don't know. It was really bad. And Braun Strowman looking at Triple H. I mean, that was... So, okay, that was bad. But the post-match stuff was actually really quite terrific, I thought. Braun's face is like, what the hell did you just do? And sort of like mirroring my expression. And it was just like, Braun came off as such a... I didn't know I wanted this side of Braun, but a noble baby face. Like, how dare you... It seemed like he was angry at Triple H for screwing over the team, not just Braun. Like I'm not angry at you, Triple H, for like cheating. Because you've gone against morals. That's what I thought. Yeah. Felt like Braun was angry.
I felt that Braun was angry because he was the one who wanted to pin Shane, and it was just he wanted to just pin everyone, and it was like, you took that away from me.
I thought it more was a moral compromise. Like the good side of Braun has been awakened since the dumpster rebirth, and he's sort of like good Superman now.
Yeah.
And this is him, like the monster slowly realizing his conscience. As I'm saying this, I know this is totally not what WWE are writing.
No.
But I for the moment, let me have it. But then Braun, so Triple H goes around, he's celebrating criticism. Almost to a goofy extent.
Oh, totally was to a goofy extent, yeah.
It was kind of like Shawn Michaels, this is stupid, so I'm just going to oversell everything. That will make me cool. And it sort of cheapens the whole thing. That's what I got from Triple H here. Especially if you've seen the post-match selling.
Yeah, where he then walked into the Titantron.
Yeah, and he tries to do the suck it and he just falls backwards as well.
Oh yeah, everyone was being like, oh yeah, look, Triple H, what a botch, he walked into the Titantron. I was like, he definitely did that on purpose.
Yeah, he was just selling the beatdown. But the one bit he did do well was when Braun grabbed him by the throat, and he's, that shot where he's just down in the turnbuckle and Braun screaming at him, "You'll never play this game again."
It looked like he was crying.
That looked awesome. And then Braun turns around, walks off. Triple H goes to pedigree him, but Braun does 2 running power slams. So it's such a weird thing that Triple H, all of his NXT guys were taken out pretty the first half of the match. But he put over the one non-XT young guy.
Yeah.
It just seems...
he's the WWE product.
Yeah.
All those other guys came from TNA and New Japan. Can't make them seem to be bigger stars. But he's a guy that we created ourselves, so we're allowed to put him over. But, I mean, as I said, my biggest takeaway from this, aside from all the Triple H stuff, is that the big thing going into this match was SmackDown were just like, we're not the B show. We should be the A show. We're the guys that've got all the talent. We're the real A show. You guys are all a joke. And Raw going like, SmackDown's a joke. They're the B show. We're the A show. We're all the top. We're all the cool guys. Story of this whole pay-per-view was that Raw is full of cool guys and the A show, and SmackDown is full of chumps, and they're definitely the B show.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. My summarising thoughts in response would be Survivor Series is a show of very good matches that don't mean anything, and the one match that does have consequences afterwards was badly booked.
Yeah, but
But
at least AJ versus Brock was great.
Yeah, but that's all we've got time for. Please vote of what you thought about Survivor Series in the poll above my head. Don't think that works actually because we've already done that on the
I
other
think
review.
Instead we should do which show did you prefer, Wargames or Survivor Series?
Okay, which show did you prefer, Wargames or Survivor Series?
Wargames for me.
Wargames for me too. And click the videos that have just appeared over Luke's face to catch up with the latest WrestleRamble or WrestleTalk news. Support this podcast, support whatever this is, and go and subscribe on your chosen podcast provider. Subscribe here on YouTube, support WrestleTalk on Patreon, order issue 1 of the WrestleTalk magazine. This has been Luke Owen, I've been Ollie Davis, and that was Rambling.